Hi, my name is Lana Harmon, and this is my project on models of macro social work practice. So the three models of macro social work practice that we have studied in the lectures and in the reading are locality development, social planning, and social action. Now, the book, Kirst, Ashman, and Hull, defines locality development as community change pursued through broad participation of a wide spectrum of people at the local community level. The book describes social planning as a technical process of problem solving regarding basic social problems such as delinquency, housing, and mental health. And the book defines social action as a coordinated effort to advocate for change in established laws, customs, or patterns of behavior to benefit a specific population, solve a certain social problem, correct unfairness, or enhance people's well-being. It assumes that inequities or injustices exist for designated groups in the population that are considered victims. So the first one that we're going to look at is locality development. And I read the definition earlier. And basically the idea is to involve as many people as possible within the community to define their goals and help themselves in a democratic manner. And so in this mode of macro social work practice, the social worker acts as a catalyst for change, encouraging the citizens to advocate for community change in their government. And it is a lot of the local government and the citizens working together to solve a community problem. And that is what makes locality development unique from the other two modes of macro social work. And they can also be initiated, it can be initiated by a variety of different organizations. So for example, I found a news article from my college town in Evansville, Indiana. And basically what the article was talking about was that community members in Evansville, Indiana are having a hard time finding adequate, affordable housing. And basically, a lot of the housing that is available to their low-income residents is just in really bad condition, or there's just not enough units of affordable housing available for people who need the extra government assistance. And so community members have been aware of this for a while, and it's been brought up kind of over and over again. And so a local coalition of churches called the Congregations Acting for Justice and Empowerment, they have repeatedly pushed city leaders to address the issue. And so far, it's actually going pretty well. They've got a lot of nonprofit organizations that are involved in the construction of numerous single-family homes, duplexes, apartment complexes. They've had a lot of outside donors to help them complete this project on time. So hopefully by the end of 2021, Evansville, Indiana will be seeing more adequate, affordable housing for their population. The next model of macro social work practice is social planning. And unlike locality development, social planning is focusing more on what the community leaders are doing and less of what the community members are doing. Social planning doesn't have a whole lot of input from community members, and that is what sort of makes it unique from the other models of macro social work practice. these are usually just things that the community wouldn't be very interested in. And it's really just a time for community leaders to address community problems and use problem-solving strategies to address those community problems. So an example of social planning, I chose this article which discusses a realignment plan that was proposed by my university's president. And the goal was to save the university money by cutting programs that didn't have as much enrollment in the university. And so this is the sort of plan that would typically go without community interest, unless those people felt very strongly about their major or disagreed with the realignment plan in general. But the community problem that's being addressed is the funding for the university, and this is being solved by the proposed realignment plan. So this is an example of social planning. The next mode of macro social work practice is social action. And so social action's purpose is to make basic changes in the community, including the redistribution of power and resources and gaining access to decision-making for marginal groups. Practitioners in the social action area generally aim to empower and benefit the poor, the disenfranchised, the oppressed. So unlike social planning and locality development, social action focuses on community members and what they are doing to make a change within their own community. So with locality development, it was community members and government working together. With social planning, it was community leaders making decisions for community members that would benefit the community. And with social action, it is community members identifying a problem or bringing awareness to a problem, and community leaders are not as involved in this mode of macro social work practice. So there have been a lot of good examples of social action in the media recently. And I think one of the most notable is the George Floyd protests that happened actually about a year ago today. They really started taking off. And so this is a really big example of social action. These protests happened in every state in the country, internationally, and it's just a group of community members who have identified a problem in systemic racism and have identified a problem and feel very strongly about it. And they're asking community leaders to make a change, to acknowledge the problem. And so I think this is a very strong example of social action. And I think the social workers' role in something like social action would really be to encourage people who can have a say in their community government to have a say, and advocate for those who don't have a say. So those were the 3 modes of macro social work practice, and that is basically how I interpreted from the lectures, from the readings, how those are applied in social work practice. And these are the references that I used in this PowerPoint. Thank you for listening.